Hi there, my name is Sheila Beck and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share and subscribe and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So, I spoke about this last night when I was on a live stream, but I think it's worth making a video about as well, because I think it's a reasonably important subject. I think that is affecting Doctor Who fandom, certainly. I think it's infecting, I think both things is true, many fandoms. I think it's something worth talking about. That in Doctor Who anyway, we have a hate group that's formed on Twitter. They fulfill every definition of a hate group, and I think they are a racist hate group at that. A racist hate group. So I think we need to talk about it. You may be a target of them at any given time. You're more likely to be a target if you're a woman, if you're gay, if you're Irish, or in my case, if you're Jewish. You're more likely. I mean, we're just looking at the data, and that's unquestionably what the what the data tells us about. So we're going to be talking about this in general. We're going to talk about what racism is. We're going to get into it really into the roots of bigotry and racism. Now, I just give you my credentials. I used to work at Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem is the Jerusalem-based Israel Holocaust Museum, and it's absolutely exceptional. I used to work each week as a, not a tour guide. It's called a madrich, like a somebody who helps the tour guide, helps herd people through, which is perhaps not the best use of words when you're going through a like a Holocaust museum. You don't want to talk about herding people, but okay, fine. So the tour was given by this guy called Asher Wade, who used to be a Lutheran minister. I think he used to be a Lutheran minister, and ended up converting. Oh yeah, it was Lutheran. Ended up converting to Judaism, became this like super rabbi. So he gave the tour. He was very, very knowledgeable. But anyway, that I was doing that when I was younger. That started my did it start? No, I think it continued my fascination with the subject, and it really is. It's a fascinating subject that people don't want to talk about and don't want to look at and don't want to think about, but which I think is why it's like that just blights humanity over every generation after every generation and never goes away. So anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Before we get there, can I ask you guys, can you hit the like button? Can you hit the share button? I'm mostly hitting the subscribe button. I'm about, 180 subscribers off 2,000. If you can get me up to 2,000, oh boy, that would be incredible. That'd be really nice. I am insanely grateful. I genuinely am insanely grateful for everyone who take the time to click that button. Thank you very much. If you check the button, you can do many things. You can do many things. Reasonably importantly, you can enter my weekly competition. So the competition this week, the prize giveaway tonight. I'm on the TARDIS Zone. We're doing a watch along of Star Wars, the original Star Wars. Well, that's gonna be fun. He's doing Star Wars week on his channel, I think, for the Mandalorian coming back. So the prize this week is Robots of Death, the fantastic Tom Baker adventure from '76. I'm thinking 1976 with. Written by Chris Boucher, pretty much a follow-up to one of my favourite stories of all time, which is Face of Evil, which, I just like that story a lot. So all you need to do to win it, this, it was written by Chris Boucher, wasn't it? God, could you imagine I got that wrong? Yeah, thank God. All you need to do to win it. By the way, the cover is freaking awful. That's why you also get this fan-made cover, which is so much better. Just so much better. To win this, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel. There we go. That's how I got to the point of it. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel, and then leave the hashtag Taran Capel. Taran Capel. Come back tomorrow. We'll have a whole new prize going on. That's something to look forward to. Fine. Let's talk about what racism is. People look at it in a very simplistic way. So we're gonna I think drill down in a little bit. So people want to say racism. I don't like black people. I don't like Jews. I don't like that's what racism is. But that doesn't really get to it, right? Because none of those things really rationally work out. So here's what I think racism is. And again, I've spent decades just studying this in detail. If you disagree with me, that's cool. Just let me know what you think. So I think racism and bigotry in general always comes from this feeling of insecurity from the racist, right? From the insecurity, and it's not conscious insecurity; it's a subconscious insecurity where the worldview is fundamentally challenged. So, in the I don't know when did black racism start in the Western world? I would have thought around 1700s, with when slavery was a common practice. See, this is what I think. I think the Europeans, the white Europeans, saw themselves as very advanced and evolved. They were, the technologically superior society, which is why why they went to Africa and South America and kidnapped a bunch of people and made them into slaves, because they can. Same reason. Was it Mick Jagger? Mick Jagger said, "Why do you only sleep with supermodels?" And his answer was, "Because I can." So I think that's basically why, because they were technologically superior, they had better weapons, and they were able to. But I think I think these human beings that they kidnapped and forced into slavery were such an affront to them, because they didn't have that European development. They didn't have that development of culture and society, and they rejected like their theological worldview completely. They didn't share their religion. So I think when the Europeans saw these people who had a very obvious physical difference, their skin color, right? They said, well, this can't be me. We can't be the same thing. I can't be that. It made them feel very, very uncomfortable. I can't be that, so I'm going to other them. I'm going to make them into like a property. I'm going to make them into a semi-animal. I'm going to make them into a half-human, And that's why, because they don't want to think that this and me is the same thing, And I think that's really the basis of all bigotries, really. You think, I'm convinced 90%, probably 90% of, anti-LGBT violence is caused by people having gay tendencies, they desires, and they don't like it. They don't like it about themselves, and they see two guys kissing, and it cracks them, makes them crazy. It's kind of like, there's quite a good movie. That was a major plot point of that. What's it called again? Was it American Beauty? So the good point of that, fantastic movie, starring what's he called again? Can't remember his name, because he is totally cancelled. Apparently, he's done terrible things. I don't know what he's supposed to have done. I think he was it Kevin Spacey? So I was going to say. So he's fantastic in it. Also, he's a terrible human being. Allegedly, I'm not denying any of the testimony of anybody that's made accusations. I don't know any of the testimony, but like, if he has done that stuff, shouldn't he be in prison? I don't know. Anyway, great movie. American Beauty, recommend it highly, even with Kevin Spacey. Oh, I like Kevin Spacey, though. What can I tell you? He's a good actor. Fine, mate. So, but that's what I think it is. I think it's a deep insecurity where you shape the worldview of the bigot, of the racist, right? That's what it is. I think Jews being different, and again, ostensively it's from their rejection of Christianity. I think that was a big factor. But I think it was just their differentness. Ian Cheston said in Terry Nation said it, he wrote it, but it was a fantastically brilliant line, and it just explains it perfectly. It says, a dislike of the unlike, describing the Daleks, a dislike of the unlike. So what's that got to do with us in Doctor Who? Well, we have quite a strong dislike of the unlike going on. We have a group headed by a Twitter account called Nut My Doctor, which is a parody of the hashtag that some use, I've never used, called Not My Doctor. But what they do is they spend their days trawling the internet to monitor communication, to monitor anything you may say, that if it doesn't match their test of purity, they can then vilify you. There's a clump. There's not many of them. There's like 10, 20 of them. But they screenshot anything you say, like really kind of normative things. Really kind of normal things like that. I just didn't like Doctor. Like, oh my God, I don't like Jodie Whittaker. And they screenshot it and they go, and then they all gather around and they laugh at the guy. They make fun of him. So that's okay, fine. Yeah, it's just kids being kids. In my mind, that's just kids being kids, and I think that's. I think it's one of the problems with Twitter, social media, but mostly Twitter. I've seen on Twitter is that children children and adults are interacting, and the children don't realize that they're children. So look, the crushing truth of this. I'm nearly 50. Like, people who are older than you are superior to you. Like, if so, they just know more stuff and experience more life. You got like. like, people my age, we kind of have a similar outlook to the world, or a similar way of like, yeah, we've seen stuff, but I still know people older than me, people in the 60s, people 70, have more life experience, and they're normally better. That makes them superior. Now, I understand that's a taboo thought for this for these children, because they grew up with without the idea of failure, without the idea of not being the bestest ever, right? They have to always be the absolute bestest ever. They have to always. They have no way of dealing with being wrong. No way. So that's one of the big failings of social media. It's allowed children and adults to interact without there being, there's this normative idea that children are, if you're younger, you know less, but again, that Twitter has taken that up. But I've noticed by who they target, they go after all the very, very, very traditionally racist, racist targets, and they predominantly, disproportionately highly. They just go after the ones that aren't fashionable anymore. It's not that they care about racism. It's not they care about the causes that they scream about. They care about vilifying people they don't like. So what is it about people that they ostensibly don't like? So people like me, many people do not like the current era of Doctor Who. We do not like Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who. For me, the reason I don't like her, there's many reasons. I find the stories quite boring. I think I watched them to review on the channel. I just find it a real slog. Really, really don't like it. But I find her portrayal of Jodie Whittaker's portrayal of the Doctor to be just astonishingly bad. It's strange choice of me. For me, the tenets of the Doctor is that he's a moral and intellectual giant, right? He's not a conformist. He's a revolutionary. He will break whatever societal rules are needed to fulfill his deep abiding morality, right? That's the word I'm like. Deep abiding morality, and he will use his intellect in an amazing way to do that. So that seems to be the opposite of how they're writing and playing this. Jodie Whittaker, she's an idiot. They play her like an idiot who isn't heroic and isn't able to raise anybody up. And for me, that's just the antithesis of Doctor Who. So firstly, I just think it's really weird that they decided to make the first female Doctor Who, which they made such a big deal about, the first female Doctor Who, into an idiot. I don't understand why on earth they would make her into an idiot. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So there were people using this hashtag called Not My Doctor, which for me, this I've never used that hashtag, but for me that does reflect my sentiments. I just don't see how this characterization of the Doctor is in any way the same character that has been before her, right? And again, totally on board for it being a female Doctor. I just don't know why. I just think it's just incredibly bad work, really, just incredibly bad. So anyway, so some people started using this this hashtag Not My Doctor, which I don't disagree with. And I think some of those people are racist, but I don't know. I don't know the specifics. But anyway, that allowed this hate group, this Not My Doctor hate group to label anybody who they don't like NMD, which is short for Not My Doctor, which is, so they label it, doesn't matter who you are, and once they label you, they've done exactly what every racist has done. They've othered you. They made you into a subhuman, right? They made you into something that's kosher to vilify. So there's that part of it going on. So, but the more traditional racism happening, again, directed at Irish people, directed at Jews, directed at women, directed at gay people, which again they predominantly target. Those minorities. Those minorities. And why? Because it's not those are not fashionable racisms that you're allowed to talk about. But also, I think again. What is racism? Racism is a fear of the other, and that invalidates you. So again, the first fear obviously is, the current era of Doctor Who, which I think they saw as being revolutionary in that it had a woman play the part. And what they thought was going to happen was she was going to play the part, and everybody would love her, right? Everybody would love her, and it would end this male patriarchal control of the of the character, and it'll be a way of furthering the idea that the world has changed fundamentally away from that. So that didn't work because it just wasn't very popular. It didn't work for whatever reason you want to say. It didn't work. I mean, I think it's just because they're boring and preachy stories with a character that you're not really inspired by at the center of it. Yeah, I think is a crazy thing to say. But that hasn't been embraced by the normie audience, right? It's fallen on the cliff. It's done very bad. So the more that happens, the more the presence of people who will speak out and say, I really don't like this Doctor Who, the more they are a challenge to these people's worldview, an absolute challenge to their worldview. But I think there's something more going on. I think I don't think people are consciously racist. I think they need to be part of a group to give voice to that racism. They just feel like a discomfort at the otherness. And so they see me, a Jew. They see me, a Jew, and they feel that uncomfort. And they got to find a way of vilifying it. That's the main thing. So the reason, this all really came to the fore for me, was, you had some people, in this group who just really went after women. They really hated women, just vehemently. There was one woman who this one guy just harassed, and she was like, basically said, I just want to get off Twitter, right? I just feel like I just don't need to hear this idiot, relentlessly talking nonsense about me. So this idiot now talks nonsense about me as well. I guarantee you, he's watching this video. I guarantee you, he's watching this video because he's crazy. Actually, I think he's probably autistic, but he is crazy too, right? And then I was on a live stream, and you had people come in. This guy called Lounge Legends, a really disgusting human being, really fundamentally horrible human being. He started talking about, there was somebody in the chat who had opened up about a severe sexual assault, right? Severe sexual, and they started making fun of her about it, and then which resulted in this person literally having a stress-filled episode, which landed her in hospital, right? So these are the people, right? They love to do it, but then they saw me, and so they went. Then somebody had the idea, because they're stupid children and they don't think what they're doing, right? They have no thoughts going through their head. They saw me, and they with the flimsiest of pretexts, they started to allege that I was interested sexually in children. This is the go-to move of racist and Jew haters throughout time. The go-to. Basically, what happened was I was on a live stream, and I was I was doing a bit. I was joking about different people, different companions in the TARDIS who I would sleep with, given the opportunity. And I came to Deborah Watling, and I was like, oh yeah, and I made a few jokes about it, and it was clearly, obviously, a comedic bit, which went down quite well. Okay, but they took that and they said, you see, you're a pervert, and you're after our women, you're after our children, our little girls. That's what, which is, again, it is exactly what they've done to black people, to Jews, to Irish people, to Gypsies throughout time. Exactly what they. And I want to ask you. If there's I'm sure many times it happened. In the South of America. That after slavery was abolished, but of course you still had all that black racism. The go-to thing they would love to do is say that black man had touched a white woman, right? And they would take that guy and they would lynch him. And I guarantee you, this Not My Doctor group, they would be the first ones around the lynching, laughing and cheering away, because that's who they are. And they're just too idiot children to understand what they're doing until I pointed it out to them, and then they went silent. They went completely silent. But yeah, they fulfill every tenet of a hate group. They are a hate group, and they're a hate group that is supported, I would say, by a lot of the official fandom, like people who work for Doctor Who magazine, because they have this crazy idea of alliances that if you align with me politically, then we have to agree with each other on every single thing. So yeah, if you're a type of person who would vote for Jeremy Corbyn, right? Which again, it's no coincidence to me that this group of racists are predominantly Jeremy Corbyn fans, because Jeremy Corbyn, to the utter shame of the Labour Party, that great noble party, brought that party into deep racism, brought the party, and he attracted people like this who were just like they had that like, oh, I don't like Jews thing going in, and he gave voice to it, and they just latched onto it straight away. So they're back to that, and they target Noel. He's a Irish guy. They target another friend of mine. Problem being because again, the traditional targets, but not the fashionable targets. The fashionable targets, they would never target a trans person because that's fashionable. And that's all they care about. They don't care about people. They don't care about racism. They don't care about equality. They don't care about right or wrong. They care about feeling good about themselves in a fashionable way. So I want you to know, say, listen, you may well be targeted by this group. And they'll screen grab you, and they'll put it up, and they'll all stand around laughing at you, which is exactly what racists always do. Like the primary form of anti-Semitism hasn't been killing Jews. No, the primary form of anti-Semitism is making up libelous stories about Jews. Jews use Christian baby blood in their ritual. Jews like lust after their little girl. One of the first acts of those naughty National Socialists from Germany in the 1930s was in schools when they would get the Jewish children and they make them stand in front of the class, and they would find any pretext to vilify these kids, right? And of course these vicious little kids, they went for it, they loved it, right? And that was a sign for most Jews. Time was up. But that's essentially what they do, and that's essentially what they're still doing right now on Twitter. So again, they may come and target you. If you have the temerity to say online that, well, this whatever criticism of Doctor Who you may come across. You're more likely if you're one of the more traditional racist targets, right? You're more likely. So this guy said, the guy in charge of it says in his face, somebody should try and do this from the other side of fandom. Then point out everything we say that you don't like. No one's going to do that. I'll tell you exactly why no one's going to do it. Because when you spend your life monitoring other people's communications, and you're not the East German Stasi, you're not the Russian secret police, right? And you're not doing this. When you spend your life doing that to see if they fail to meet their purity tests, right? They're whatever issue. If you spend your life doing that, you're probably the villain. You're probably the bad guy. So if you're part of this group, that's not my Doctor group. You're part of a hate group. And that's who you are. That's just who you are. There's not much you can really do about it now. The cat's out the bag, right? So I'm going to end with a practical example, and a plan of action. Of what we need to do. About this hate group that's just infected fandom. And we're going to look. We'll look at one example, and there are just a gazillion examples. I'm just going to show you this one. I put out this video a few days ago about Tim Burton doing a take on the Addams Family, which I tell you, I listen. If it's anything like Nightmare Before Christmas, like a live action Nightmare Before Christmas, sounds like it could be good. I don't know. I'm nervous about anything made in 2020. Anything brought back. Well, there has been a couple of very good shows this year. I liked Brave New World, and I like Raised by Wolves. So anyway, so I put this thing out about Adam's family. So one of this group, one of this hate group by name of Nigel. Nigel the racist. So he goes, yes, can't wait. Now, tell us which members of the, I spelled Adam's family wrong, of course, that you would sleep with. Again, so he's proliferating the very, very, very traditional, anti-Semitic, racist trope of you've touched my women, you've touched our women, oh, you want to touch our children. Based on nonsense, based on absolute nonsense. So I try and tell him to go. I try and say, listen, look, I'm a grown up. My channel's grown up for grown ups. I don't think you really understand what's going on. And I tell him, listen, why don't you go play back with your children, the other children in your stream, and we can all just move on with life. No, he's not so into that. So he says, yeah. So again, he said, I mean, only the best. You are my favorite YouTuber because he talked about grown-up things. Right? He's using "grown" in a that was quite a funny pun, Nigel. Very good. And he says, like being a registered. Oh, please, can you just look at your tweets before you sent them? There's registered spelled wrong, nonce, right? No. So that's the thing. That's what they came at me. They kept saying no. They kept because they love name calling, and if you respond to it, if you say no, I'm not. You validated them, and then they will make them go more and more and more because they're a hate group, and that's what hate groups do. So at that point, I explained to him, which is, at this point they go silent. They go absolutely silent because they know I'm right. They know I'm right, and they got nothing to say because facts just fit exactly what happened. Dude, do you really think you're the first anti-Semite to accuse a Jew of child abuse for kicks? Which is 100% what these people are doing. Why are they doing it? I just want to say it again, because they're racist in a hate group. They are racist in a hate group. You're nothing special, mate. See, racists always like to think they're... what they do, again, they push other people down to raise themselves up because that's who they are, They don't like it that you're different. They can't stand it because it questions their worldview, right? So I said, you're nothing special, which I think just hurts them. Now, don't you have a black man you want to accuse of touching a white woman? So you see, now I've taken it out of anti-Semitism and brought it more into general racism, and I can hear him rushing to the toilet and crapping himself because there's nothing he can really say. This allegation was so ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. It's like lynching a black guy because he thought he found Wilma Flintstone sexy. Who is, let's face it, very, very sexy. Maybe your lot can get your white hoods out, which is essentially what happened. Here's the thing. If you engage in racist behavior, which they have been doing, they engage in very traditional racist behavior, at some point, it will just tip over into actual genuine racist behavior, which is where we are right now. So as I said, we have a hate group within fandom, headed by this account called Not My Doctor. So I'm going to suggest, if you ever are targeted by them, if you want to respond, which I wouldn't recommend, if you want to respond, just let's use the hashtag Not My Doctor is a hate group. Hashtag Not My Doctor is a hate group. Why are they? Why would we use that hashtag? Because hashtag Not My Doctor is a hate group. They are a racist hate group, and I just think we need to brand them as such. And if we all use that hashtag repeatedly, Not My Doctor is a hate group. Not My Doctor is a hate group. Then I think it might be more embarrassing for the professional parts of fandom to gleefully associate with them, or even though they do gleefully associate with them because they have this bizarre idea of alliances, because they think if I don't agree with this guy who's clearly a racist, if I don't go with this guy clearly a racist, in that case I'm rooting for the current president of the United States to be re-elected, which is for them the worst thing in the entire universe because they're insane children and racist. So there you go. Please use the hashtag Not My Doctor is a hate group, because Not My Doctor is a hate group. My name is Louise, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.